presenters, but I'm going to tell you about a hot topic, which is a model that we have recently released. That model is called the nightly model. And so it's similar to the others, but you can go over it here in models. I'll show you in a little bit. And you can pick command extra large nightly and command medium nightly. And so extra large is for better performance. It takes a little bit to run. And medium is for faster response. So it depends on what you want. You want a chatbot that replies immediately, or do you want a really elaborate answer? And I'm going to explain all the words here. So why is it called nightly? Well, nightly is because it's trained continuously. Nightly means really every night, but the name is given to any model that is training all the time. And so this gathers every so often, every some interval of time, it gathers all the feedback from users and it retrains the model. So in particular, if you have something, you know, with a lot of users coming in, this is definitely super useful that it trains and learns from the particular uses that you're giving it, and it uses to improve the model. And why is it called command? Well, if you've seen previous models, sometimes you had to write some examples, right? So you want to write the title of a blog post, so you give it 3 or 4 titles, blog posts with titles, and let it sort of learn from there. That's called prompt engineering. This one, you don't need any prompt engineering. It's just a command model. You tell it do something, and it says say something, and it says it. So that's why it's called command extra large nightly. And I've been playing with it quite a bit. The way to do it is here at the Cohere dashboard, and you just have to make sure over here that in parameters you pick command either medium or extra large nightly. And why am I telling you this? Because we're going to have a little contest of prompts in a bit. So I tried myself to do some prompts, and I tried this one called write an ad selling a used time machine in a newspaper from the 30s. And it says looking for a used time machine, look no further, blah, blah, blah. It sort of makes it sound like that. Then I tried something a little more creative, and I said, can you make a song about machine learning, but make it please sound like Baby Shark? And so it went Baby Shark. Oh, do you know how it works? Machine learning. Oh, do you know what it does? It learns from data and makes predictions, and it's so much fun. And then it repeats many times exactly like Baby Shark. So I think this can go viral. I think if somebody makes a song about this, I make a bet that it may get like many views in YouTube. But of course, I'm only so creative. You want to rely on your creativity as well. So we have the following. We have a prompted contest, and what you do is please sign up to the playground using this QR code over here, and generate some cool. It could be funny, cutting edge, interesting, anything prompt, and make sure it uses the nightly model, please, on the and then screenshot it and add it on Discord to the share your prompt channel, and then take a look and vote for the ones you like, and the 3 with the most number of votes gets swag and $300 Cohere credits. So make some fun prompts. It's close on Monday, so write any cool prompts that you can, and put them in the channel and vote for the ones you like, and we're gonna announce the winners on Monday. And I repeat that here's the QR code to sign up for the playground. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So I'll pass it back to Roy.
All right, thank you, Luis. Yep, as he mentioned, you guys heard it first. We are running a mini challenge over the weekend. So all you need to do is sign up to our playground and then head on over to our Discord under share your prompt and vote. Be as creative as you want. We're so excited to see what our model can come up with, but also what you can come up with as well. I'm just going to drop the link, these 2 links. So
yep. I'll stop sharing so you can drop the link in the
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I have dropped the link. So if you haven't signed up to our playground, you can do so in the first link, and the Discord community will be our second link. All right. So Luis is going to be one of our mentors today, alongside some of our newly appointed community champions, Sangeeta and Arjun. Now, Sangeeta is an NLP engineer who has written many insightful blog posts, like the recent one on implicit versus explicit knowledge models. I'm just going to share the link here. You can check it out. Say, Sangeeta, where are you? Say hi.
Hi, Roy. Yeah,
Hello.
it's been a great time like in community champions, like learning so much from the community and contributing as well.
Yeah, awesome to see you. And also we see Sonam here as well. Hey, Sonam, our other community
Hi,
champion.
Roy. Hi,
Hey.
everyone.
All right, and we also have Arjun. He's a data scientist who won one of our hackathons with his project called Perfect Prompt, a prompt engineering assistant for image generation. I'm also going to share a link so you can check it out. It's really cool. And he went on to speak at several workshops and even mentored future Cohere hackers. So we're so happy to have you here, all here today, and continue inspiring our community. So, hey, Arjun, any few words you want to say hi to everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing about myself and my project. By the way, if you want to use my project, it's probably on ice. So just wait a few minutes and it'll start back up and you'll be able to mess with it. I'm really excited to see everyone's demos. There are so many interesting ways you can apply these large language models to do like really fun things. And I got my popcorn and I'm ready to see what we're going to learn about today.
Awesome, awesome. So excited. And all right, I think should not hold anyone back any further. And we'll kick off our first presentation by Andrei Gromov. He's going to be presenting Fairy Tales. It's a fantasy AI generator that uses Cohere for text generation and stable diffusion for images. It allows you to create the main text of a fairy tale from a short line and generate illustrations for scene. Very cool. Andre, he is a full stack developer and participated in the Assembly AI hackathon. Andre.
Yeah, hi, Rob.
Hey.
Yeah, thank you. Hi,
Over
hi.
to you.
Yeah, very happy to be here. And let me share my screen. Yep. So, I want to talk about my project for fairy tale generating. And first of all, let me introduce myself. As Roy said, I worked as backend developer and have experience with Python and a little bit Golang and TypeScript, and started learning AI and ML less than a year ago. Just played with simple Kaggle tasks using NumPy and Pandas, and well, in December or November, I just found out a Cohere hackathon and decided to implement my first production project. And why I decided to do it? Because of my daughter. I have a daughter, yeah, and often she asked me to tell some stories, like, hey, Dad, tell me please a story about you and your friend and when you was young, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. I came up with one story, with another and third, and after the 10th story, my imagination ran out and I decided to optimize this process, and Cohere helped me with this. So I a little bit studied the theory of creating stories and fairy tales, and it applied to main approaches. First approach, it's based on Joseph Campbell book, like Hero with 1,000 Faces. It's left image. And second one, it's morphology approach based on Vladimir Pro book, and I decided to use second approach. It's similar to the first one, but it uses a functionals. It means each hero has a function and each plot has function. And Vladimir Pro extracted main functions for hero and 31 functions for plots. So how works my project? You should have like example line, and on this slide you can see like a funny tale about two girls, blah blah blah, and I have like plan to generate characters based on hero functions, plots, and story text. And last step is generate images used stable diffusion. First step, it's generate characters. As I said before, Vladimir Pro extracted 7 or 8 main functions, main hero with their functions, and like hero, villain, donor, helper, princess, and father. And I base it on 2 very famous tales like Red Riding Hood and Little Mermaid. And based on the summary of these tales, I extracted a description for characters and generate, send this into Cohere and generate my own characters with descriptions. It's first step. Second step. Second step is generate plots. Prop extracted 31 main function for plots, abstention, indirection, violation, etc. And I also created a prompt for Cohere based on the same tales and their summary, extracted main function for Little Mermaid and Red Riding Hood. And based on this example, I generate plots for mine story about two girls. You can see 8 main functions. But yeah, sometimes it's not unique. And right now I don't have any approach to delete not unique plots. Maybe I will implement in the future. So, and last step, it generate full story of the text. I pass as example into Cohere API characters descriptions and first 4 plots from my example and generate like first paragraph, second paragraph, etc. And you can see like screenshot of UI of my story, and you will see like full text of fairy tale Sasha and the Magic Forest. And last step, you can generate image for character or plot just by one click, and I send a call to Stable Diffusion API, and that's it, I think. So about my future plans and expectation, with this project, I would like to finish my last step, because right now I just have only simple text for story without like formatting and illustration. And also I should update my prompts because I didn't generate correctly character functions, just only description. And also I would like to implement editing of plots and character in UI, so just you can remove or add missing plots, etc. And about my experience working with Cohere API, I was pleasant to work with this because it's a good documentation and a lot of parameters to customize it. But I use only one method to generate, but in the future I would like to create my own model based not only 2 stories, like for example, but mark several stories about Little Mermaid, Red Hood, I don't know. Yeah. So it's my plan to finalize this project, and I think it was so fast. So yeah, thanks for your attention. And yeah, sorry about link. You can play with my demo UI on tails.zai.live.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andre. Jay just commented, great work, really exciting. Story AI will truly change the media industry. He's so right about that. I am going to hand over the floor to our mentors. Comments, mentors, this is really awesome.
Yes, I put the link in the chat, like tails.zai.live. Yeah, it works with Cohere, but then you generate image and you can get like some error because stable diffusion, but stable AI rejects some strange prompts about like little girl. It's maybe, yeah, you can be careful about your request and stable AI, because like little girl playing the forest, it's looks strange for stable diffusion and they reject this request. Yeah.
Andre, I think you did a really wonderful job with this project. A lot of fairy tale, I've seen a lot of projects that are kind of along this vein where you generate stories and do things, but I really liked your approach where you kind of broke up the different parts of the story and created separate prompts and data sets for those parts in order to create a more cohesive explanation. I think one possible like path in the future you could take is adding some sort of interactivity. Children love when you're kind of like giving them opportunities to contribute to the stories that you're kind of making. So it would be neat if there were a way for someone to kind of build upon a story in progress so that every night, I know some kids, they like have like really favorite plot lines or really favorite characters. So it'd be neat if someone could like have a completely different story every single night with the similar characters or similar person taking on the same adventure or something like that. Other than that, I was pretty impressed. This is a really neat project.
Yeah, thanks. Also, I see that in the chart a question like, how did you maintain the same visual appearance of charts? To be honest, I do not maintain this. I just generate, but I know the stable diffusion allow me like to set init image in the prompt, pass in the image in the prompt, but I didn't implement this way in this method. So maybe in the future, but I'm not sure. Maybe I need like use my custom model for stable diffusion too, but it's just in the for future. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for the question. Any more questions for Andre? If not, we will proceed to our. Thank you so much, Andre. Well done. This is amazing. And you could really test out like the demo in the link and provide more feedback if you have any questions for Andre. All right. So next up, we have Theodore. Theodore is going to be presenting Architext. It uses Cohere's language models to generate functional designs. Generated layouts can be saved to all popular design formats. And Theodore is a senior researcher in the City Intelligence Lab of Austrian Institute of Technology, where he led the development of Infrared, the first AI-driven performance-based urban design tool. All right, Theodore.
Hello. Hi, everyone. It's very nice to see you. It's nice to meet some people from the community, finally. I've been around Discord for a while. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the introduction. Things have changed a bit. I'm currently working in Oregon as an advanced design lead, and Architext is what I'm about to present is kind of a fruit of labor of about 2 years, I think. Like the first time that was shown to the public was about a year and a half ago, and it's been something very important to me. So I don't really have a presentation. I have a sort of like puzzle of different things, but I can tell you the story, how it started. And actually, I think it's an interesting story for me because I'm not an AI engineer. I'm not a machine learning engineer, right? I apologize about the site. It's a bit blinding, I know. It's been a while since it was made. But I was an environmental design engineer, so not really into AF. And about 6 years ago, I quit and I decided that I need to find ways to do a better job because the world around us, we can see that it wasn't being built very well. It wasn't being designed very well or operated very well. And I thought AI could help. And Architects was just an intuition. I was playing around with DALL-E and trying to see whether, text to image generation and layout generation would be easy, would be doable. And it was kind of doable, but it wasn't very useful, not very practical, because in design, we want, like you said, functional designs. We want things that we can utilize downstream in different tasks, and images are really good and very nice for ideation, but you can't really extrude them. You can make a 3D model out of them. You can do simulations or things like that. So the intuition was that language models can do design, right? So I have a kind of, it's not really a presentation, but I will try to show what I mean by that. And Architects was kind of designed as language. So that was the idea. You go from design with language, which is the semantic generation models like DALL-E and Stable Diffusion, to design as language. And it's really a very simple idea. This is all it is, right? You really ask the model nicely. In a way, I didn't know it at the time, but it is sort of a command model, a command sort of structure, right? You have a user prompt always that asks the model to create something. So in this case, a house with 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. And then you have an output that the model needs to create that is always a layout. And the simple intuition was that the model can learn to generate geometry. literally a geometric representation of something, right? And I created a lot of synthetic models to do this, and I'm trying to find, yeah. And to do this, I created a lot of synthetic models. Again, this is the picture. Let's say you create synthetic data. This was my domain expertise, right? I use something called Grasshopper. It's a parametric generation tool. You create annotations, you fine-tune a language model, and then once you have a model, you can sample it and create more synthetic data. So actually, I did some generative training back then. But the whole idea is this: like you have some domain knowledge and you deploy it, and it worked. It worked, and you know, you can get things like this. This is something that architects might generate. And the beauty is that this intermediate representation, this sort of linguistic expression of design is really efficient. It's really nice because the models did two things that surprised me. One, they learned completely how to design in this domain. So they create about 99.9% valid designs, right? They might not give you what you want when you ask, and probably they won't, but they always give a design that is sort of useful or usable. And second, they have an incredible diversity. I couldn't explain the diversity. So they created much more diverse designs than what I showed them. It was very limited training set, and it still is a very limited domain. But on their own, they had incredible diversity. So when I analyzed the results, and I thought this was because they were pre-trained in language. That's my intuition. I can't really prove it, but so yeah. And then, of course, you can do some cool things. For example, you know, very quickly, like, and I hope this will play, you can, you know, sort of deploy them. This is Rhinoceros 3D is a design software the architects typically use, and you can get a design. And we made this a while ago. It's unfortunately, I wish I could share it. I think the app doesn't work. You have a 3D model with some weird windows there, and you know, deploy it there, and you can do things with it, right? You can bake it, you can run simulations with it if you were someone like me, or you can do other things. So that's the main idea, and yeah, that's all it is. And the idea is that once you have this is a generator. In my grand vision of, I don't know, intelligent design, this is only the first step. So once you have a generator, you can do a lot of cool things. And these are the future steps of architects, is to go towards exploration. So right now we are working on a quality diversity driven workflow that takes these language models, which, as I said, are incredibly powerful, and create synthetic data for specific tasks. So you can think of it as a task-specific generator in a way. And another project that we are trying to do, and I'm hopeful I can share with the community and maybe ask some help very soon, is reinforcement learning with human feedback. So we have a nice interface in Gradio that we'll be sharing, and we will let people play around with the model, create, and give us different forms of feedback.
You're concerned about the account changes once you have the renewal, essentially.
I'm sorry. Okay. So I do have a Gradio working. This is the best I could do. And actually, I'm very lucky because the model is ready and warmed up. I hadn't warmed it up. My apologies, it's very early. So I just want to show how this works. You literally prompt. Of course, you can prompt with anything, but right now it's very limited. This is one of the limitations, right? The kind of prompts it knows are these. So here I prompted you a house with 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And I don't have the legend here, but the bedrooms are the red icons, the bathrooms are the blue icons. So you see the semantically was correct. And it has like a living room and a kitchen. So this is kind of how it works. And you can also like give different types of constraints. In a way, it's a constraint-based generator. That's what the model has learned. You can tell it how many numbers of rooms and, you know, adjacencies. So you can give me a house with a bedroom in the north side, so all these kind of things. And this was really amazing to me. And just the last comment to how incredible language models are to really learn something like this, just from a few examples, to really understand, you know, geometric relationships, and then be able to generate new novel geometric relationships. Like, so yeah, that's the project, and I can try to say something to create something in between. Well, yeah, thank you very much. This was the project, and I hope it was interesting, and I really hope that people will take it up. It's been a while, and there's been a couple of papers where people are doing this. So I remember generating layouts, furniture layouts. So I really hope that people, at least from my domain, see that it's possible to utilize these models to do incredible things.
And thank you so much, Theodore. This is incredible. And we have some questions. Can it be used for geometric models which can be 3D printed?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the 2D present. A lot of people are focusing on 3D right now, and it actually makes sense. I think it's really the holy grail if you wish, if you want. But 2D representations that we're creating here essentially are 3D. So yeah, you can extrude, and you yeah, this one failed, but you see failed. Yeah, sorry. You can extrude and you can 3D print if you want. Yeah, you can generate. And I do think, and I've run some tests, that it doesn't just generate layout. You can train language models in almost any representation. In fact, with some friends, we made something that creates game maps in Unity with the same approach, right? Anything you can represent geometrically, you can generate. I feel that's my intuition, and then 3D print if you want, or whatever we want to do downstream.
Seems like the sky's the limit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Mustafa, how did you incorporate Grasshopper with the model, and will it be like a plugin in the future?
Yeah, so that video was a plugin. Unfortunately, I hasn't been developed for a while, so it's a tool called Pollination. So it's an online plugin. You can sort of log in, and I believe you can still use it. The code is also open source. I can share it right after, so you can just take it and sort of deploy it yourself. But yeah, it was supposed to be a plugin and be open source. It hasn't been yet, but hopefully there is also a paper coming and eventually, and once all that comes out, we can share all this stuff. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. One other question. Have you explored the use of text-to-image models for geometry applications for mathematical visualizations?
Yeah, not for mathematical, but I did try with the latest models, or stable diffusion, DALI, to see how they are, because I do think we're going to reach a point where text-to-image is viable, and then you can use it downstream. They're not there yet, but they do generate some interesting designs. And yeah, it's just maybe I'm not very good at computer vision, but it takes me longer to identify pixels from images and extract designs than actually train a language model to do it. But yeah, we are close. We are close there, I think. We're not there yet to creating a design that is useful for designers, but we are close instead of in terms of ideation and what it can generate.
Nice. All right. We still have a couple more questions. So Theodore, if you could just sort of maybe hop on there to help reply to some of them as we move on to other presenters in the new time. Thank you so much, Theodore. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Really awesome. Round of applause to Theodore. Awesome job. All right. So moving on to our third presenters. We have Augusto and Mustafa. They're going to be presenting Health AI Assistant. It combines a custom conversant persona and grounded QA. It helps to aid in processing patients, extracting relevant information to fill up forms, and providing common knowledge advice to scenarios. They came in second place for our Thanksgiving hackathon, where we collaborated with Lab. All right, over to you two.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Okay. Can you hear me? Everything's good? Okay. Sure. Okay. So our project is healthy. It's it's like replacing paper, or like replacing hospital paperwork with AI. It's a very interesting project. First of all, let's start by introducing the team. So my name is Mustafa Azezi. I'm a media designer, UI UX designer. Also worked on multiple applications to develop like the interface and the experiences. So I'm a designer. I'm not really into like coding and like NLP and everything. So like being in the hackathon, this is like my first hackathon to be in. It was super cool. I got to meet some very interesting people. And I'll pass the mic over to Augustus so he can explain more.
Hi, my name is Augusto. I'm a PhD student in economics, so not completely related to machine learning or NLP, but I have I'm very passionate on the side about the applications and the potential impact of NLP. So we used this Cohere's Thanksgiving hackathon as it was a great opportunity to try to test our skills with a fun weekend project. So today we're going to be telling you guys a little bit about it, run a live demo, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Okay. So our project again is like healthy. It's replacing hospital paperwork with AI. So what it is we're using Cohere AI to fill in hospital intake forms for patients through natural conversation. And doing that was like at the same time, like booking appointments with the corresponding doctors and answering the patient inquiries and questions. We're doing that through like the NLP models with Cohere. You go on to the next slide. So the problem we found is hospitals have to be able to provide care extremely efficiently. And the number one step in improving hospital efficiency is to remove paperwork. That's according to The Economist. Doctors can end up spending twice as amount of hours with their paperwork than with their patients. And like we're trying to reduce patient wait time. And as we all know, like filing in medical and hospital forms can take too long and can be an inconvenience. Queue lines for informations and reception desks can get quite long, and doctors end up with a huge amount of paperwork to sort through. We'll move on to the demo, and I will let Augusto like explain the demo for you so you understand it much more clear.
I'll leave the QR code for a few seconds. If you guys want to scan it, it should take you to our Streamlit app, which is hosted in Streamlit Cloud. And let me move this. First, you will be directed to the homepage, which contains some useful information about our underlying motivation behind the project and some sample conversations that our team has had with Healthy that showcases some interesting features about some emerging phenomena that LLMs tend to surprisingly show, and also some limitations of our model. On the second tab, you'll have access to a live demo. In this case, I already started the conversation to save some time for demonstration purposes. So first, right, we have to ask nicely, and we say hi, and Healthy tells us that it's a nurse assistant who can help us connect to the right doctor, given our description of the accident we just had in this case. This is the use case. I just cut my finger with a paper. So in the background, Healthy will analyze this, will interpret this description, and will gather relevant information. In this case, the category, which will be an accident, the cause of the accident, which is a finger cut, and injury areas, the finger, which doctor we should recommend it to, and the urgency, and if the patient is conscious. One very interesting thing that it surprised me, at least, surprised all of us, was the sensitivity to the slight changes in the cause of the accident. Pay attention to the next message. It's exactly the same accident, but I'm just slightly changing what caused it. From a paper cut to a chainsaw, which is much more severe, and Healthy, powered by Cohere's LLMs, captures this increased urgency level pretty accurately. A paper cut is much less severe than a chainsaw cut, potentially. But that's not everything we could do. We can also have some conversations with Healthy in the meantime while the patient waits to get to the doctor. And we can ask him questions like, what should I do about my finger cut? And using grounded QA, Healthy will Google the best possible response and reply with some advice and the source from where he got that information. One thing I wanted to note is this data set that is being generated here dynamically. This, for our demo, this is what the form would look like. This is just a JSON file in the background, and all this information is being stored during the session state anonymously. There's an ID that has been randomly generated for me, and the start time of the session. If it was a question, it'll reply with an answer and it'll say that answer. But if it was a description, it'll simply say the notes of that description, which will be sent to the doctor prior to meeting with this patient. The model is able to recognize between description or question using entity recognition in the background. And finally, once we are done inputting our description, we can show available times. We have a few here, say Saturday at 9 a.m. works fine for me. You'll update the date frame, and I want to be contacted by mobile phone. So then I'm ready to book my appointment. Congrats, we have an appointment. Awesome. So I encourage you guys to play around with it and let us know what you guys think. Oops. But we'll go back to the presentation. And let me tell you how it works. So Healthy in the background follows a flow that first is inputted by decision node, which is this entity recognition model in the background that recognizes if the user is inputting a description of an accident or a question. Depending on which one is recognized, it either triggers Cohere's LLMs or grounded QA for Googling an accurate answer. And the generated data and report is stored in the session state. That means that the data is anonymous and is only available during the session state. So for our demos, there's no information being saved, which is something important in healthcare industry. Then this loop is going to continue until the user decides to stop chatting, and then the available time will be shown, and the doctors will be and the appointment will be scheduled with the relevant doctor that Healthy has identified. As I was telling you guys, in the background, Healthy is powered by a hybrid architecture that is composed of a custom persona called Healthy that is capable of recognizing these attributes of the description of the accident or the question, and also grounded QA to be able to Google answers to questions that users may have before being able to meet with a doctor. Like, what should I do with my finger cut in the meantime? The data is saved anonymously, and all the data is only available during the session state. And third, an important feature of our app is that everything is being logged, which can be used for continuous feedback, which is very important for continuous training and simplifies maintenance of the model in the future, and also allows for this nightly version probably. Some final thoughts. We're very excited about AI in general and NLP applications. We think there are a lot of different use cases in industry and research as well. And more specifically, we are excited that this kind of technology can help developing countries expedite and increase efficiency in the healthcare industry, which is notoriously inefficient. Some limitations that we are thinking of addressing, we would have to address, or hopefully community maybe can help us with this, is styling the prompt a little bit better, just to simulate the conversation flow much more accurately. Address issues such as AI bias, safety, and explainability, which is going to be a big concern when doctors have to read this information. And finally, the chat memory. Right now, Healthy is limited to one message memory chat, which means that it only remembers the latest message, just for runtime issues in this case, but that could be easily improved, and the prompt style, and also the runtime of the Google search. That's it for us. Thank you for listening. Yeah, we'll have to take questions.
Awesome job. Thank you so much, Gusto and Mustafa. We have a comment from Arjun, super cool project. Yeah, Arjun, do you want to
Yeah, just really quick, because there's one part of this project that's really interesting to me. I think that intake forms and surveys are an area where automation with large language models is a place that's ripe for innovation there. I think that doing something like when you're filling out like a 10 or 15 question survey, if you have someone just dictate things about themselves and see if there are things you can extract from that in order to fill out maybe some parts of that survey, I think is a really interesting use case. I think what you've presented is pretty neat. I think you should think about expanding the technology you have to maybe an area in which there's less inherent risk. So maybe outside of like medical intake forms, it could just be like surveys in general, where people have this big need of like getting more user information from a demographic, or just like, companies who are trying to get information about what their users are doing. That would be particularly interesting to me. So really cool direction, really cool architecture. Nice job.
Thank you, Arjun. Yeah, and we've actually tested this similar technology on surveys, survey methodology, and survey design. And it tends to work really well, especially for surveys that tend to have some subjective attribute to them, like mental health or leadership surveys of that kind of style, where instead of having to answer very discrete questions, you can now allow the user to tell a story about how he feels or about himself, and then the natural language the model will extract the relevant information from a much richer source of data, which is a long text answer than just discrete scale. Super interesting.
That note, I have
also wanted to.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I just wanted to add, like, the model is able also to identify the urgency of, for example, the care that the person might need. So that's also something that is very hard to address, like unless like it's required like a physical person, which we found, like, even as a language model, again, it was able to identify the severity of like an injury. Like, for example, like a paper cut's not very severe versus like a chainsaw cut, which is extremely severe, and like give it this rating of like 5, and this is 1 just based on this changing of the word, essentially. So, yeah, go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, no, this is very cool. Thank you. Just on that note of the survey versus the medical one, I'm wondering if you have a knob to turn, because sometimes would be in medical would be a lot more sensitive to mistakes, right? Whereas in a survey, less. What would be a metric that you use for
well, definitely human editing is definitely required. We're thinking about, like, for example, hospitals in Egypt and like other countries are very understaffed. There's, for example, 1 doctor for like each 1,000 patients, and this is not mentioning also like 1,000 plus patients, and like the rate should be like 1 doctor for like 200 patients. So as you can see, there's a lot of like, like, especially like in the healthcare industry, there's a lot of need for automation. At the same time, you can have like staff such as nurses and like other stuff who can deal with patients in a different form. So we were thinking about like how to at least ease their like transition of like people can get care and not, and like at the same time answering questions and getting reply to. So it's a very sensitive topic, but at the same time, it will definitely require some human editing, but it's like at the same time, just not as much as we were thinking about, like making it just a little bit easier for people who are working there in general, since they're typically overworked anyway.
Yeah, I think we envision in the short term, we envision something like ChatGPT kind of training that it's reinforced with some sort of human feedback. And in this case, the human should be the nurse. The nurse would train the AI nurse continuously. Everything is logged, which would allow some developer to incorporate the feedback from the human nurse, and you should start picking up some details and patterns of things that he should be able to help with that tend to be more important than others. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you so much, Augusto and Mustafa. We have some comments. Nice one. I love the tool development in chatbot like applications. So incredible progress. We also have Jay, who said great work, and Honey, nice work. This is quite interesting to me, and we'll be following up with you all. So keep a lookout for Honey's message. Congratulations, well done. This is amazing. Love to see these projects broad
Thank
range.
you, guys.
Yeah, well done. All right.
Thank you.
Last
you.
but certainly not least, we have the winners of Best Use of Prompt Engineering at SheX Plus, Canada's largest 36-hour hackathon for female and non-binary students. Please welcome Faiza, Sophia, Salwa, and Maida to present Semantics. It's a comprehensive platform that allows users to edit emails, store their past emails, and give advice for anyone who want to learn how to communicate in a professional standard. So over to you all.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Just as a brief introduction, the four of us we're all U of T students in our third years, and this was all done within 36 hours, but we kind of hope to elaborate on it. So as you know, young people just entering, kind of trying to enter the professional field, we get, kind of feedback saying like, Salwa, email more assertively, or drop the long regard, like just use regards, or, don't use exclamation marks in your emails, or just, speak a little bit harshly. And, these are very common pieces of advice that we've all had to go through as young professionals just entering this workforce. And in fact, it turns out like 77% of students feel confident when they're entering, but only 43% of employers actually tend to think that they're prepared. So, what happens to that like 40-something% that's missing? So we want to bridge that gap. And that's why we made Semantics. So as Roy introduced us, Semantics is a tool to improve written communication that creates positive impressions and maintains professional relationships. And our goal is to kind of find and share a middle ground between, being able to communicate professionally, but also including your own sort of tone. And this is using, positive, negative, and neutral markers. So it's created with our own database and Cohere sentiment analysis, which we would recommend, yay. But you might be wondering, what's positive, negative, and neutral in terms of like being professional? So as of our own database, we define that positive terms, like the ones shown on the screen, they tend to be more personable and foster a relationship. Neutral terms usually tend to lack the personal pronouns and get directly to the point. And negative terms kind of use acronyms or, very informal language that should not be used in a professional sense. So we have a live website now, but we'll run through a demo together. So here you're on our landing page. We were trying to go for a very clean look. So if you go to our playground on the right, you can write any body of text. But for now, we're actually going to use an email that we sent when we were discussing with Roy being invited to talk here. So thank you so much for inviting us again. And you kind of see we use terms like "see you later, alligator," which is it's unprofessional. It's not aggressive, but it's not very positively taken in a professional sense. But as you can see on this side, the underlined in greens are very personable. Thank you so much, or like we'd love to present here. But then in the red terms, it's like "see you later, alligator," things that could be looked upon in a negative sense. And as you can see in the bottom, we have 46%. This score is actually the average of the neutrality scores for every single sentence. So we're not saying that you want to aim for 100% neutral, but it kind of just gives you a sense of how you're coming across. And in addition, this is in the future going to be implemented that you can choose how you want to come across. So if you say that you want to aim for 75% neutrality with a more positive sense, it will score you based on that. So what's the point of editing your emails if you just get one sense of feedback? So what we have is that you can actually go to your past drafts and see all the emails you've ever sent. And as you can see, the first email that we sent had a 46% score. How are you going to change that? You can actually live edit it and continuously submit in the playground. And what it does, it gives you live feedback there, but you can also look back on your old emails and it changes the score. So as you can see, we swapped out regards, we swapped out "see you later, alligator" with regards, and it gave us a score of 66%. So as of right now, our current steps is that we have a personal tier. As you can see in our past drafts, we've had a few unrelated users test out our minimal viable product already. We've also had, some feedback saying that they kind of want it to be more of an add-on, or they do enjoy just having the playground like that. So the next steps is that we're interested in doing an educational tier and a professional workplace tier. But the issue that comes with this and scaling our, our product is that how do you define professionalism? As of so far, professionalism was defined by the four of us. The good thing about Cohere is that, we can work with different HR departments or universities to kind of give points of where is it positive, is it negative, what they think is neutral, use the classify, and then kind of they have their own customized semantics dependent on whatever they classified. So workplaces and users in the end can make their own standards. And that is Semantics. And if you want to message us or you're interested in working with us on this project, feel free to connect with us.